Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of Ace Attorney Investigations. I hope that you guys are enjoying this series. If you are, drop a like. Let's continue from where we left off. Where's that costume, Detective Gumshoe?
Just on the other side of the fountain, sir.
Was it out here in the open all along?
No, it was discovered in the tall grass back there. We moved it out here in order to examine it more thoroughly.
Then let's get down to it. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. That's definitely a meme for this game. I'm noticing this right away. What do we have here? Oh, it's another pendant. That's 2 treasures in one day. How lucky is that? And hey, this pretty baby's made of platinum silver too. Another pendant on top of the one we found on Mr. Deacon. Is it possible that these two... Hold it right there. Oh, it's Agent Lang. Hands off, Mr. Prosecutor. You sure know how to cross the line, don't you? A pendant, huh? This is a very decisive piece of evidence. How can you tell? Look here and read off what you see. Lauren... Hey, it's a name that's engraved on this. Oh, Lauren. Oh, yeah, that's not a coincidence. Yeah, I knew it. I knew that Lauren was Oliver's daughter. It's shaped like a pair of wings. Lauren D is engraved on the back. We have you now, Miss Kidnapper. No, you don't understand. Lolly, I can't believe you were, one of my kidnappers. Lance. You're kidding, Miss Pop's one of the kidnappers? Yes. It was me. I held Lance hostage. So Miss Pops is one of the kidnappers. But even knowing that, I can't call this case solved or over. Hey guys, case closed. Get the car ready, and I mean the special one for this young lady.
Hold it!
Again, Mr. Prosecutor? What is this? Is it this time? Are you proposing that Miss Pops is also the culprit in the murder case? What happened? I thought Officer Meekins was your suspect. We found it. Found what? That officer's gun. He literally dropped it in the middle of a thick patch of grass. Your country's police are a sham. Just look at how careless they are.
Who are you calling a sham?
That officer's gun didn't show signs of having been fired, so it can't be the murder weapon. So Officer Meekins has been cleared of all charges, I see. And that's where a brand new suspect comes walking onto the scene. The murder only happened because the kidnappers started fighting amongst themselves. As I recall, it was you who said that, right, Mr. Prosecutor? Miss Pops, did you really kill Mr. Deacon? Yes, I killed him. No. She didn't do it. She's covering for the third kidnapper, because it would make no sense for her to want to kill her father. It makes no sense. I can't believe it. Thanks for the confession.
Objection!
Agent Lang, it's much too early to declare this case closed. Look at you, so sure of yourself. We've got the culprit's own confession and some very incriminating evidence. What more could you ask for? Miss Lauren Pops. Yes. I want to hear it from you. Tell me your side of all that has happened today, from the kidnapping to the murder. But why? I'm a kidnapper and the killer. Isn't that enough? Is she trying to cut her hair? It's fine if you're, the one behind everything, but only if that is the truth. Now, then, will you tell us the truth? Or is there some reason why you can't? I've had a change of heart. I think I'd enjoy seeing you sulk away as the losing mutt. Alright, you heard me. Let's hear about all the evil deeds you committed today. Miss Pop's confession. The one who came up with the kidnapping plan was the butler, Mr. Deacon. We knew that we could get rich by holding a Lance hostage. Mr. Amano would pay anything to get his son back after all. Everything was going according to plan, but as soon as we got the money, Mr. Deacon turned on me and tried to kill me. What? No. No, that makes no sense. There, are you satisfied? She just confessed to her crimes a second time. No, I'm not satisfied. At least you have the guts to admit what you've done. I can at least respect that much. Miss Pops, is what you said really the truth? Yes, it is. If that is the truth, it certainly isn't the whole truth. Because there is something that seems a bit too improbable in her confession. Miss Pop's confession. The one who came up with the kidnapping plan was the butler, Mr. Deacon.
Hold it!
How well did you know the victim? I've spoken with him only a few times at Lance's house. A few times, that's it. Yes. If they only met a few times, I don't see how they could have trusted each other. Yeah. Well, I mean, they are father and daughter, that's a point too. So they would have known each other before. But if you hardly ever talked, then how could he trust you not to steal his plan? That's completely irrelevant. He was planning to betray her from the very beginning. Which is why he chose someone he wasn't especially close to. Isn't that right, Sheena? Yes, however, Mr. Deacon made a very poor choice. In the end, he was killed by the one he intended to betray, himself. Ha! I bet he didn't see that one coming. We knew that we could get rich by holding Lance hostage.
Hold it!
You knew? How did you know something like that? Oh no, what should I do? Okay, what's wrong with her now? Come on, isn't it obvious? You're making your scary face again, that's why. Why don't you try asking her in a nicer, more gentle way? No, stop it, Lauren. You're always like this. You always fall for the stern-looking one. That's why you'll always be unhappy. Or maybe that's it. She's been bewitched by your icy glare. Mind your own business, Kay. Now then, Miss Pops, let's continue with your testimony. Oh, yes, of course. Mr. Romano would pay anything to get his son back, after all.
Hold it!
Why did you believe that? Anyone who knows Mr. Romano would think the same. I bet Lance is that old man's greatest treasure. I suppose he would be to a doting father like Mr. Romano. I always figured that was it too, and I was always envious of Lance for it. Oh, because your dad's... I got this pendant from my father. And I believe that as long as I have this, I'll find my father again someday. Yeah, Oliver is definitely her father. 100% I'm convinced of that. He'll welcome me into his arms riding on the back of Pegasus. That pendant. She must truly believe it to be the wings of Pegasus. Everything was going according to plan, but as soon as we got the money...
Hold it!
Would you mind telling us a little bit about the plan itself? Well, first we captured Lance. Oh, how did you do that? Well, Mr. Deacon did that on his own, so I don't quite know. Bah! And here I thought you knew how to steal people away. I shudder to think what you would do with such knowledge. Sorry, I really don't know, but somehow Mr. Deacon was able to contain him. All we had to do after that was wait for the ransom to be paid, but... Mr. Deacon turned on me and tried to kill me. No.
Hold it!
Why do you think he did? I have no idea. Maybe he had planned on doing so from the very beginning. Miss Pops. She has a bandage on her arm. I'm noticing that there. I wonder if that's relevant. Sometimes some of the things that the characters are wearing is relevant. Wait, Mr. Deacon planned to kill Miss Pops from the very beginning. Was that ever really likely to happen? What should I do? Can I raise an objection? Yeah. I'm sorry, but I don't think what you just claimed is all that likely. Huh? I don't think Mr. Deacon would have ever been capable of killing you. But why? We were total strangers. No, you weren't. It's not uncommon for people to kill each other, over money. Miss Pops, you really are clueless, aren't you? What do you mean? You never knew what your role in the kidnapping was, nor do you know who you really are. But I do, and I can show you with this piece of evidence. This proves Mr. Deacon wouldn't have been able to bring himself to kill Miss Pops. Miss Pops' pendant. Oh, Lauren D on here. Lauren D is engraved onto this pendant. I see that they wrote out her first name, but why just a D? Maybe it's the result of poor planning. I guess. Well, at least if I had to shorten my name, I could make it K Faraday. Well, the ironic thing about that is that that's her name, K. That way, even if you just sounded it out, I'd still sound the same. It'd still say the name, my name, K Faraday. I suppose if I had to do the same, I would be abbreviated as M Edgeworth. Hold on. I think you should abbreviate it as M-E. Get it? Haha. Who would have thought that this little pendant could stir up such a strange conversation? Okay. It's either her pendant or his. I think it's his. Let's try it.
Take that!
Why are you showing this to me? So what about the pendant? This horse pendant, along with this piece of evidence, shows who you really are. Oh, yeah. Miss Pop's pendant.
Take that!
These two pendants resemble each other, wouldn't you agree? Hey, you're right, they're the same color and they're even made of the same material. I believe that these two pendants are actually one. Eh? Shall we give it a try? Wow, it's totally Pegasus. Why? Why does my pendant match up with Mr. Deacon's? You're a smart lady. I'm sure you can imagine why that might be. Oh, no, that can't be. So the two make a set, huh? It's just another trinket. It's not as though this changes anything. It does a lot. You lack imagination, Agent Lang. Very well, I'll show you with this evidence. This is the piece of evidence that gives meaning to the Pegasus pendant. Colin Deveray, yeah, I think it's this one. Whereabouts unknown after his escape from Penny Dead prison. Stole a gun from a guard during his escape. We thought he might head for where his wife and sole daughter are, but despite our surveillance, he has yet to show up. This, the dossier. Probably see.
Take that!
Oliver Deacon was just an alias for this man. His real name, was Colin Deveray. This name that is etched on the horse pendant. What? An alias? I suppose he had to hide the fact that he was a felon somehow in order to live. And it makes sense given what is written in Mr. Deveray's dossier. But what I really wanted to point out was this. This specific section is what reveals the true meaning behind those pendants. Daughter? Sole daughter?
Take that!
Mr. Deveray had one daughter, and her name is Lard Pops. That's a lie, that person was not my father. He couldn't come out and tell you he was your father because he was in hiding. However, I believe he was trying to secretly watch over you. Do you still believe that a man like that could kill a daughter he was separated from? Or even that such a man would allow his daughter to get involved with a kidnapping plot? And what is so funny, Agent Lang? You're good at making things up in your head and deciding it's the truth, aren't you? What are you trying to say? Your thinking is much too innocent. After all, I thought of another possibility. Is that so? Well, let's hear it. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Let's hear it. Another possibility. I'll grant you that the two of them are father and daughter. But isn't it possible that they both knew that fact? It was no coincidence that the reunited pair became involved in the House of Amano. And the two of them made good use of their meetings to plan this little kidnapping. When you say my scenario is perfectly probable as well? So this is his version of how things might have been. You don't have any proof that they didn't know of their true relationship, right? And you're saying that the two of them committed the kidnapping together? That's right, as one really rotten family. Is that really what happened? I'd better take a long, hard look at the evidence. Another possibility. I'll grant you that the two of them are father and daughter.
Hold it!
Precisely, and what father would ever willingly kill his own daughter? Well, it happens also. Family do kill family.
Not so fast!
I've seen a lot of things in my travels, and I can tell you that being related by blood is sometimes proof of nothing. Agent Lang actually has a point. But isn't it possible they both knew that fact?
Hold it!
You think they knew? Yeah, I don't think only the victim knew. I think the girl realized it as well. They both knew who the other person was, but they had to pretend they didn't. Because he was on the lam. You got it. The victim couldn't exactly go around flaunting who he was. Furthermore, it was no coincidence that the reunited pair became involved in the House of Amano.
Hold it!
One is a butler and one is a friend of the sun, you mean? They probably thought that this was their best shot. Is that what you honestly believe? Of course. And the two of them made good use of their meetings to plan this little kidnapping.
Hold it!
You mean how they plotted to commit this crime as blood relatives? Can you think of a better partner? They're certainly a clever pair. The butler and the girlfriend. No one would ever suspect that. They were in fact family. Yes, from the very beginning, they painstakingly practiced those roles well. Wouldn't you say my scenario is perfectly probable as well?
Hold it!
I believe you're being a bit too overconfident for someone with no evidence. Am I? Because I don't see you presenting any evidence to the contrary. Without evidence, we're stuck in a stalemate. Agent Lang isn't wrong. The scenario is certainly a probable one. You better hurry up and do something, or Lauren's gonna wind up looking really bad. I know, but first things first. Is Agent Lang's line of logic factually correct? Was a crime really committed by the two of them? By this father-daughter pair? I think it's this one. And I think the piece of evidence I'm supposed to use is the dossier. Because if you look at the dossier, stole a gun from a guard during escape. We thought he might head for where his wife and sole daughter are, but despite our surveillance, he has yet to show up. So his daughter was being surveilled. So this is really proof that they probably never met before this. Let's see, is this right?
Objection!
Oh no, Agent Lang, about this piece of evidence.
Go back!
Lang Z says, confidence is like a soul, and words without confidence are but empty shells. You shouldn't waste your breath on words you have no confidence in, Mr. Prosecutor. Although, just as bad as to say something in full confidence and be wrong. Are you going to let him lecture you about your self-confidence like that? I don't need to be overflowing with self-confidence, I just need to think rationally. After all, I only need to be confident in the facts, so that wasn't right? Was a crime really committed by the two of them? No, there was a third kidnapper. No, there was a third kidnapper. We don't know where the missing gun is. Maybe I could use that? Nah, probably not. Kidnapper stole 3 costumes, a blue, a proto, and a bad badger. This might be it. We need proof that there's 3 kidnappers. Okay, let's try it.
Objection!
Oh! I got it. This kidnapping wasn't planned by just 2 people alone. And what kind of proof do you have of that? Quite simply, there was 3 kidnappers. 3?! Oh, he's getting really nervous. 4 costumes were stolen from the Wild Wild West area's back room. We found one of them in the kidnapper's hideout, but as for the other 3, we can assume they were being worn by the 3 different people. We also found a set of 3 cups and 3 folding chairs that were used in the hideout. It all clearly points to a 3-man group, and I believe this 3rd person is the real mastermind behind the kidnapping. Who is this mastermind? Oh, he's getting really nervous right now. I present to you the brains behind the kidnapping. Who did it? No, not Gumshoe. The father, there's no reason for him to do so. Lance? Kay? Agent Lang? Sheena? Well, it's not all Deacon. Deacon's dead. He was one of them. No, Meekins, even, I can't even think of Meekins being as one of the kidnappers, because even if he was, he's too stupid to plan something like that out, so no, it's not Meekins. Okay, we know it's not Lauren, too. It's definitely not Emma. It's definitely not Old Bag. It's either Agent Lang, It's either Agent Lang or it's Lance. What does it say on his? Escape from the kidnapping hideout was found at the stadium. The mastermind. Okay, it's Lance. Why do I think it's Lance? The reason I think it's Lance is because Lauren is admitting to something that she didn't do. It's obvious that she didn't kill, her father. She's admitting to something that she didn't do, so she's covering for someone. Who could she be covering for, if not her boyfriend, who she loves? That's what I think. On top of that, he somehow escaped, and he happened to show up right when everybody was at the stadium. He just collapsed, so he showed up there. And the other thing is, Mr. Amano said, I remember about Mr. Amano, he said that him and his son never talk to each other, that they don't have a good relationship. And he said that this is the first time in a long time that Lance has actually reached out to him and begged him for help after he got kidnapped. So, they've never actually talked to each other. Now all of a sudden, Lance is talking to him now and begging him for help. And Ernest was saying how sweet it was that Lance was calling him for help. So I think he's the one. Just because he was the one that was kidnapped does not mean that he's not the third kidnapper, because it could be fake. It could have all just be a giant plot. That's what it could basically be. Let's see if I'm right on this. I really hope it's not Agent Lang. I think it's Lance. Let's see.
Take that!
Oh, I got it. Yeah, whenever you hear that, that dun dun dun, that means you got it right. Lance Amano. Yes, this abduction was in fact schemed up by Lance himself. Recall what he said when he appeared before us. Did you see the faces of your kidnappers? No, I didn't see their faces, but one was a woman. However, there were 3 kidnappers, which is in direct contradiction to what he said. But, I know I only saw 2 people. This guy was being held hostage. It's possible he couldn't see all 3 of them. Ah, yes, about when you were being held. I have my doubts about what happened then. Lance, would you mind telling us what happened while you were being held captive? I really don't remember much anymore, honest. But if I don't tell you at least something, you won't believe me at all, will you? No, I'm not gonna believe you. I think he's definitely involved in this. Lance's testimony. I was kidnapped yesterday morning. They had me shut in that room blindfolded the entire time. But the kidnapper suddenly disappeared around the time I heard rain falling outside. That might be important. The rain. My hands were cuffed, but it was a stroke of luck that they left me alone. I made my escape and ran from that room as fast as I could. Through the underground passageway, I presume. Are you okay? Sorry, I really don't want to recall that horrible ordeal, but now you believe me, right? No, not quite yet. Ah, how could you not? Why do you look at me with such icy daggers in your eyes? Because he's a prosecutor, and because they're all like that. I'll have you know, Agent Lang, a prosecutor's eyes are for discerning the truth. And should they be interpreted to be cruel at times, then so be it. Yes. There is a sticking point in Lance's testimony. Let's see what he offers up when I push a little. Lance's testimony. I was kidnapped yesterday morning. Oh, I'm doing Agent Lang's accent. Oh man, I'm just losing my track of thought. I was kidnapped yesterday morning.
Hold it!
Can you tell us about when you were abducted in a little more detail? It was a strange morning. I felt like I was right in the middle of a great calm. And where were you when you experienced this calm? Our family garden, of course. Where else could it have been? Well, excuse me for asking. This child is more princess than prince. I was out taking a walk to shake off the morning glow. Then out of the blue, someone from behind clamps a hand over my mouth. You didn't see your attacker. They must have used some drug to knock me out. Because before I knew it, I was off in La La Land again. When I woke up, I was in the kidnapper's hideout already all tied up. They had me shut in that room blindfolded the entire time.
Hold it!
By that room, you mean the room in the kidnapper's hideout, correct? Yes, but I was blindfolded the whole time, so I didn't know that until I made my escape. Then you were in the same room as your kidnappers. They spoke in hushed tones, but I could catch bits of their conversation. It was definitely two people, and one of them was definitely a woman. I was so scared. I could tell they were nearby, so I didn't dare make a move. But the kidnapper suddenly disappeared around the time I heard rain falling outside. I think this is important.
Hold it!
The kidnappers disappeared. The room fell into a sudden silence. I had been left behind like an unwanted mutt. And what do you mean by unwanted mutt? What a pointless question. It's not like he's going to tell you anything new, you know. It's a poetic smile. You should learn how to use them, too. You may look refined on the outside, but it's no good if you're not refined on the inside as well. My hands were cuffed. It was a stroke of luck that they left me alone.
Hold it!
Then those cuffs on your wrists, I suppose you are still cuffed in that case. I am well aware of how I am chained to reality. I couldn't find the key, so I'm afraid that I'm stuck like this. Even though I escaped from that jail cell, I will forever be a prisoner. I made my escape and ran away from that room as fast as I could.
Hold it!
How did you manage this to escape? I wanted to just get out of there, but the door leading outside was locked. Which is why I had to use that underground passageway to make my escape. I remember our escape to be equally as hard. This is an invaluable piece of testimony. I mustn't let it go unexamined. The door leading outside was locked tight, so I had to use the underground passageway.
Hold it!
By underground passageway, you mean the one the staff uses to travel unnoticed. I suppose that's what it's for, but I didn't run into any staff members on my way out. And once I was up top, I was busy trying to find a member of the police. And that is when you found us congregated at the stadium, I suppose. Let me ask you then, how did you get a hold of the key to the underground door? That was easy. It was hanging right there in the room on the wall. I do recall a key hanging on the wall right beside the table. Boy, does that bring back memories for a situation how we made our escape. Why would he put the key back, though? Unless it was the police who cleaned up the scene. Indeed, and although the door in the floor of our room led to an underground room, the door in the floor of the room next door had a secret passageway. Secret passageway to the theme park. Oh, that just sounds like so much fun. I wonder, is there something off about the way Lance made his escape? It's definitely that extra statement. Whenever there's an extra statement, like when you press a witness in the Ace Attorney games, and whenever there's an extra statement, it's almost always that extra statement is the one that you have to use evidence on. The door leading outside was locked tight, so I had to use the underground passageway. Wait a second, wait. Was used to jam the handle to the hideout's door. But the door wasn't locked. The door was just jammed. Even if he's in handcuffs, he could just remove the sword and then open the door. He would have seen that the sword is there. Why would he still use the underground passage? That makes no sense. Let's see.
Objection!
You say the door leading outside was locked, but was it really? Oh, now we got him. We're talking about the room behind the saloon front, right? Look, I heard that it took quite a few men to get that thing open. Right, Sheena? Yes, that's correct. Then take a look at this. Oh, here's the music that kicks in, yup. What is this? A sword, if not an especially reliable one if it's broken like that. Allow me to start from the end. My conclusion is that the door was never locked. It was simply held shut by this sword, which was used to jam the handle. Lance, even though your hands were cuffed together, you could still use them. If that's the case, then why did you not just simply remove the sword and escape? Yeah, he made his escape a lot more complicated. It would have been a lot easier to escape through that door. Why did he go out for the underground passage? Why didn't I? I was disoriented. Yes, that's it. I didn't notice it. As if I should accept such a bold-faced lie. You locked yourself in that room because you had to make yourself look like the victim. But you did not, in fact, possess the key to the door. That is why you used the prop sword to improvise and create a prison of your very own. You've been making this guy out to be one of the kidnappers for some time now. Well, he's gonna go to real prison soon. I wonder if you're forgetting something very important along the way. And what would that be? A motive. What else? Well, It's rich coming from this guy. He was trying to accuse Officer Meekins of no motive, and he told Edgeworth it's up to you to find out what the motive is. Now he's bringing that back to us. Do you honestly think that upright pure boy like him? Yeah, he has a motive. It's money. Money's the motive. Would hatch up a complete pointless scheme such as kidnapping himself?
Objection!
This proves that Lance did indeed have a motive to commit this crime. This one. Love letter for Lanzamano. The sender's a tender lender loan company. My dear Lanzamano, may I come see you again? Your beloved Viola. But a tender loan company. He was in debt. He needed money. And because he didn't have a good relationship with his father, he never talked to his father. His father never gave him any money.
Take that!
To put it simply, Lance has a very urgent need for money. This is hardly your typical love letter. It is in fact a collections bill. It appears our upstanding boys accumulated quite a debt. Isn't that right, Lance? Oh. Looks like it's hard being the son of a rich man, too. It must be rough when you have to resort to stealing from your own old man, huh? Alright, I give up. I abducted myself. Lance! It's over, Lolly. In this life, we really are bound to our fates after all. All I wanted was to go with you to a new town, somewhere where no one would know us. I wanted us to be well off with that 1 million, but now, that dream is over. Oh, Lance. Then you are giving yourself up. Yes, I had planned to run away from this world with my Lolly. Oliver even helped us with the plan, but then he had to go and stab us in the back. He turned on you. Maybe he didn't want to split the ransom money, that's my guess. It happened almost right after you made the drop-off. No, he killed Oliver to silence him, and because he didn't want to split the money with him. That's probably his motive. This is all an act. When we were alone, he attacked me all of a sudden. No. No, this is not true. After a brief struggle, I was able to contain him and keep him under control. We left him inside that room as Lolly and I made our escape. We wore different costumes and split up. Lolly left first in the Blue Badger costume. That would mean the person Officer Meekins saw was Mr. Pops. Right, then the old man just had to wake up. I was careless, and he tackled me pretty hard from behind. Then Oliver put on a Bad Badger costume, took the suitcase with $1 million and ran. I contacted Lolly right away and warned her that he had a gun. Then they had no idea that they were related. So I thought that they could only end badly. I still don't believe that person was not my father. Because if he was, I just killed my own father. Lolly, then it really was you. No. Look at him. Look at him when he's doing this. He's like covering his face. He's a psychopath. That's what he is. He's manipulating her. He killed Oliver and he's trying to guilt trip Lauren into admitting to it. He planned this whole thing out. He wasn't close to his father. He doesn't love Lauren. A psychopath is somebody who has no empathy for others. Means they have no feelings for others. They can't empathize. They can't understand other people's feelings. They can't have empathy for others whatsoever. They can be very manipulative, and they only care about themselves. And psychopaths cannot cry for others. They can't. They can only cry for themselves, so they will never cry or feel bad for anybody else, only for themselves. I'm seeing no tears from him whatsoever. He's just covering his eyes. There actually are a few psychopaths in the Ace Attorney games. A few psychopaths that I can think of. Dahlia Hawthorne from the original one. She's the best example of a psychopath. You had Matthew Ungard also. He was a psychopath. You had any other psychopaths in the Ace Attorney games that I can think of. Dahlia, Matthew Ungard. In the Apollo Justice trilogy, the Phantom was another psychopath. And so it looks like Lance is one here too. I don't believe Lance at all. I think he's guilt-tripping Lauren. I don't think his feelings are genuine at all. He's not crying at all. And you can tell that Lauren is actually upset. That man was not my father. I mean, because at the stadium, there was a bad badger pulling a suitcase with the 1 million in it. But that badger pointed his gun at me, aiming to shoot me dead. That's why I used the gun I got from Lance. There was a gunshot. The other person crumpled to the ground, and I ran, scared for my life.
I think the big picture is finally coming into focus, don't you?
Lolly, forgive me. I didn't think it would turn into something so frightening. If only I could have protected you.
Oh yeah, sure, like he's doing this again. It's BS, it's all an act.
So, Miss Pops, she shot her own dad without even knowing who he really was. And look at, when Edgeworth does this animation, like when he's like, has his hand over his arm, and he's like moving his finger like that, it means that he's taking everything with a grain of salt. Edgeworth doesn't believe this at all. And that's what I like about Edgeworth is, Edgeworth is very strict, very straight to the point. And he's almost a little cold in the way he talks to people too. Edgeworth handles, like, interrogates people very differently than Phoenix does.
If what she says is true,
are you saying she's lying? But why would she lie about something like that? What purpose would it serve?
you would be surprised how often people lie without even realizing it themselves, Kay.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean?
What I mean is, listen very carefully to her confession once more and you'll see.
That man was not my father. I mean, because at the stadium...
Hold it!
Please calm down and let's slowly talk through this.
But
all you have to do is simply tell us what happened at the stadium. Leave it to us to search out the truth. Can you do that for me?
Alright, so at the stadium... there was a bad badger pulling the suitcase with the 1 million in it.
Hold it!
That was the ransom money, wasn't it? Yes, that's how I was able to identify Mr. Deacon almost immediately. It was all thanks to what Lance told me.
And what did he tell you?
Well, he called me on my cell phone and told me that Mr. Deacon had betrayed us and had run off with the ransom money. And about how he had a gun. But that badger pointed his gun at me, aiming to shoot me dead.
Hold it!
Were you able to clearly see the gun?
Yes, I got a very good look at it while it was pointed at me. Oh, Father, why would you try to shoot me? Do you really think a father would shoot his own daughter, Mr. Edgeworth?
I don't know.
I don't want to believe it myself. But if it's true, my father's left arm was raised with a gun in it. Pointed straight at me. About to die, I thought. Miss Pops, please calm down and take a deep breath. And then would you allow me to please hear that last statement one more time? Yes, of course.
But that badger pointed the gun in his left hand at me, aiming to shoot me dead.
This...
Hold it!
And you felt that your life was in danger, correct? Yes, I'm about to die, I thought. So... That's why I used the gun I got from Lance.
Hold it!
You shot Mr. Deacon. Miss Pops. Yes, I shot him.
And as they say, and that, as they say, is that.
Agent Lang, Miss Pops is far from done. She hasn't even finished her testimony yet.
You're going to continue questioning her? What a waste of time.
Miss Pops, if you please. Alright. There was a gunshot. The other person crumpled to the ground, and I ran, scared for my life.
Hold it!
Did you take off immediately following the gunshot? Yes. And you didn't attempt to approach the victim at all after he, was shot. I was scared. I don't blame you. I would have done the exact same thing. Poor Miss Pops. What will become of her, Mr. Edgeworth?
She seems to be telling the truth regarding what happened at the stadium.
However, I don't believe it to be absolutely correct. Listen very carefully to her confession one more time, and you'll see. I think it's this one. The badger pointed the gun in his left hand at me, aiming to shoot me dead. But the bad badger has a gun in his right hand. Yeah, this. I remember this now. This is what I thought. Dominant hand right. This makes no sense. If he was gonna shoot her, he'd be using his right hand. He wouldn't be using his left hand. This makes no sense. Yeah, it's this. Pretty confident it's this. Let's see. If it's not this one, it's that blue badger poster.
Objection!
I have here a dossier on your father. And according to this, your father was right-handed. Then The person pointing a gun at you from the top of the stage was not Mr. Deacon.
Not so fast.
Hold on there, Mr. Prosecutor. I think you need to take a refresher course. The Bad Badger has a model gun attached to his right hand, but it was ripped off. It was not on the costume, which is why the only hand that he could have held the real gun with was his left. Isn't it possible that it went down like that? Agent Lang, were you paying attention to what Miss Pops was saying? Then again, I suppose I can't expect someone who has never set foot in court to catch it. Oh! Enough with the smugness. Out with it already. Miss Pops told us earlier there was a Bad Badger pulling a suitcase with the 1 million in it. According to you, the Bad Badger had the gun in his left hand, which would mean that he was pulling the suitcase with his right hand. Is that correct, Miss Pops? Yes, exactly. And I'm sure it was the Bad Badger. It had those huge sunglasses on its face. But if that's the case, even I can see there's a huge contradiction. Yes, Miss Pops claims to have seen the Bad Badger, and yet the Bad Badger had both of his hands full. These two pieces of information contradict each other, so one must be wrong. It wasn't the Bad Badger, both hands were not occupied. Both are correct. Both are correct. The gun was ripped off the costume, the model gun. They are both correct. Impossible. That just leaves us with irresolvable contradiction. Miss Pop's entire statement rests on the fact that she saw his sunglasses and beard. But what if that Bad Badger wasn't wearing pants on his lower half? This proves that there was a way for the Bad Badger to freely use both of his hands. Costume separates the head and body. This head was left in the isolation room. So the Badger with the gun had the hat of the Bad Badger, but the costume of the other one.
Take that!
The costumes have two parts to them, a head and the body. Oh, I get it now. The head Miss Pop saw was probably really the head of the Bad Badger. However, it is not possible that the body was that of an entirely different Badger. A different Badger? Yes, or to put it more bluntly, I believe it was the lower half of this Badger. The body of the Bad Badger Miss Pop saw was really... It's not the pink Badger, it's not the Bad Badger. It's either the Proto or the Blue Badger. It's probably the Blue Badger. The belt. It's because she would have remembered the belt.
Take that!
His head may have been the Bad Badger, but his body was the Blue Badger's. The Blue Badger... Hold on, let's see here. Who was it that had one of these on? I did. And so did Officer Meekins, pal. Haha, nice try, but your logic is a tad illogical. Officer Meekins has been placed under arrest after all. Wait. I'd like to strike what I just said from the record, and give my explanation anew. The body... It had to have been this one. Proto Badger, then. And Proto Badger is the one who attacked Edgeworth at the start, right, with the sword. That was Proto Badger.
Take that!
What the heck is it? It's the Proto Badger. Yes, and it's a simple matter of process of elimination. Miss Pops is wearing the Blue Badger's costume, so we can eliminate that one. And the Pink Badger is of the wrong color, which would have been incredibly obvious. All that is left is the Proto Badger costume. Miss Pops, who was the one who wore the Proto Badger costume? That would be Lance. Oh, now...
Not so fast!
Are you saying what I think you are? That Lance Amano donned the Blue Badger's head and pretended to be Mr. Deacon? on top of which he plotted to shoot Miss Pops while wearing, that hideous, thing? Yes, the stage that was set up in the stadium was nothing more than a setup. And I think the gun, I think I know what happened. Here's what I think happened. Lance killed Oliver Deacon or Colin Devereaux early. He killed him early. And what happened was, he then ripped the missing model gun from the Bad Badger costume. He gave it to Laura, and he told Laura this is a real gun. But Laura didn't know that it was a model gun. And look at what it says. It was ripped from the Bad Badger costume. It's capable of firing blanks. When a gun fires a blank, it's not firing an actual bullet, but the gun is still going to be loud. And so, she probably thought that she was firing a real gun. And she probably thought that she actually shot him, but she didn't. Then Lance went up on stage. He pretended to be Oliver Deacon, but Lance's mistake was the costume. That was his mistake there. And then he pointed the gun in his left hand, because Lance is left-handed most likely, and Oliver Deacon was right-handed. And then he pretended to go down. So he pretended to die right there on that stage. That's what it was. And then Laura says that she ran away right after that. So he probably manipulated the entire situation. He planned the entire situation out to try to make Laura think that she killed her father. That's probably what it is complete psychopath. And Lance is not a stupid man. Lance is a very intelligent man, that he was able to actually come up with this whole thing. The stage that was set up in the stadium was nothing more than that, a setup. And its purpose was to lead Miss Pops into believing she had committed murder. Standing there in front of Miss Pops and pretending to be the victim. It was all done so that she would pull the trigger. Ha 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 ha! I have no idea what you're talking about. Look at how nervous he's getting now. It's definitely like he said, why exactly would I have to do all that, huh? There is but one reason, Lance Amano. You are the real culprit behind the murder of Mr. Oliver Deacon. What? No! That's slander! Take it back! You take it back right now! Just out of curiosity, Lance, which is your dominant hand? I'm left-handed. But what does that have to do with anything? Yep, there we go. He's digging his own grave. It depends. According to Miss Pops, her attacker held a gun in his left hand.
Not so fast!
Ha! Who is a what-handed doesn't prove a thing. And besides, now you're just being absurd. It's not like that Proto-Badger is bulletproof. One misfire and he would have found himself dead, right?
Objection!
Of course. Logically, if he had been shot, he probably wouldn't be here with us. But I believe he had thought of that as well, and prepared accordingly. And this should be all the evidence you need. This is how Lance made sure that he wouldn't be hit by a bullet. He gave Laura the model gun. This is it.
Take that!
We found one half of the Bad Badger costume in the hideout, a broken one. It was not the same one that the victim was wearing, plus it was missing something. And that something is the model gun that the Bad Badger carries, which can fire blanks. What? Miss Pops, where's the gun you used now? I threw it away into the sea. That makes it a bit tough to verify what it was. Although, I believe that we can safely assume that it was the model gun in question.
Not so fast!
I've heard enough. All you've been spouting so far is pure conjecture. I admit that as long as the model gun is lost to us, I can't prove I'm right. However, I can say that the probability that I am right is very high. Okay, let's pretend that you're right, and that the murder at the stadium was a fabrication. In that case, where do you think the murder really took place, Mr. Prosecutor? I don't know yet. Ha! I knew you were full of it. However, I do believe the murder took place during an earlier time frame. Yeah, it happened earlier. Please wait a second. It's simply not possible. Because I saw Mr. Deacon after he was restrained by Lance. She saw the victim in the state of being restrained. What Miss Pops saw. I came back to the hideout long after the other two. By that time, Lance had already subdued and restrained Mr. Deacon. He had tied Mr. Deacon securely to the beam in the room next door. After that, the two of us put on our costumes and made her escape. So Mr. Deacon must have escaped after the two of you left, right? We thought that it'd attract too much attention if we left together, so I left first. We planned to meet up again at the stage in the stadium. But then, as I was walking through the park, I got a call from Lance on my cell phone. Oliver managed to escape. It looked like he was waiting until I was alone. He also stole the gun from me at that time. And then the murder happened.
Mr. Deacon must have overheard their plan to meet up at the stage. Well, Mr. Prosecutor, Miss Pops saw the victim with her own eyes. Which means the victim was still alive at that time, wouldn't you agree?
Why does that sound wrong to me? There must be something amiss about this account. Let's see what happens when I examine it in more detail. Yeah, we're gonna have to press. I came back to the hideout long after the other two.
Hold it!
When exactly did you arrive back at the hideout?
It was after we had picked up the ransom money.
And where were you up until that time you returned?
I was scouting the park out and making preparations for our escape. I walked around in various areas looking for the best route.
Ah, so each of them had their own roles to play. After I was done, I went back to the hideout. By that time, Lance had already subdued and restrained Mr. Deacon.
Hold it!
How did Lance look at that time? He looked shocked. He also looked a little down. When I saw that sadness in his eyes, Thank you, that's enough for now. And what of Mr. Deacon? What was his situation like? He had tied Mr. Deacon securely to the beam in the room next door.
Hold it!
You are sure that it was Mr. Deacon that you saw? Yes, I'm certain of what I saw. Did you go into the other room to check? Lance said that it was best if I didn't get too close to him. She's mistaken Mr. Deacon for Edgeworth. That's the purpose of... He killed Deacon before he knocked out Edgeworth. So when he knocked out Edgeworth, Deacon was already dead. And then the whole reason that he kidnapped Edgeworth, he tied Edgeworth in that room, and he said that that's Mr. Deacon. Lance, he's such a kind soul. Oh yeah, Lance is a kind soul. Then are you telling me you did not confirm that it was Mr. Deacon for yourself? I checked through the slit in the door that separates the two rooms. He had a bad badger's head on, so I'm absolutely sure. No. Found in the isolation room. It was on Edgeworth. The head was on Edgeworth. He put it on Edgeworth. That just had to be Mr. Deacon. No. She saw a bad badger head. The captain had a bad badger's head on, so I'm absolutely sure it was Mr. Deacon. No.
Hold it!
So that tied up Mr. Deacon was still in his bad badger costume. Yes, and? It would appear that she misread the whole situation. What now? Should I raise an objection? Raise an objection. The person you saw was not the victim. What? Why not? I will tell you why not. With this. This, Miss Pop, shows us that the person you saw was not the victim. It's the bad badger's head. Pretty sure it's that.
Take that!
Miss Pops, the person you saw was not Mr. Deacon at all. Huh? The person you actually saw was this person. Me, Miles Edgeworth. It was me. Huh? The person I saw was you, Mr. Edgeworth. I always thought it was a bit odd. Why would the kidnappers abduct me even after I handed over the ransom? Yup. It's not as though I saw the face of the kidnappers. If I were them, I would have just taken the $1 million and ran. But in the end, there was a point to it all. It was to make me look like Mr. Deacon. And if that was the reason for which I was abducted, then I believe we can assume that the victim was already dead at that time. Yup. Well, Lance, am I right? That's... You showed Miss Pops a person, namely me, with a bad badger's head on. And then made your costume escape together. Or so you pretended. Huh? What do you mean he pretended? Exactly that. I believe Lance watched you escape, and then doubled back to the hideout. Probably to come and remove the bad badger head from my unconscious self. And to create his fake prison with the prop sword, he then escaped via the passageway.
Not so fast!
Hold your tongue, boy. Don't get caught up in this tidal wave of words coming out of Mr. Prosecutor's mouth. Tidal wave? We've heard a lot of come out of you, but I've yet to see a shred of evidence. The victim's betrayal and his subsequent detainment. All of that could have happened while you were out cold. That's right! You were out for quite a while, Mr. Prosecutor. Even if that were the case, Mr. Pops would have still seen me tied to that beam. Miss Pops would have still seen me tied to that beam. I was scared of Mr. Deacon, so I didn't go to the next room. so I really have no idea if you were in there or not, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, it would seem that you can't prove a thing. Who said that? Please wait. Mr. Romano. Oh, Miles, my boy. It looks like you're really giving it your all. And Lance, it's not good to cause trouble for others. Dad. Let's see. You're the one in charge of the investigation, correct? Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry that my son has been nothing but trouble. This probably won't make up for anything, but I have some evidence for you. Oh, you do now. The bad badge, is that what I think it is? It's the bad badge or costume the victim was wearing, and a gun. There's 2 guns. I couldn't wait around for the police, so I went and found these myself. The evidence could be forged. It could be tampered with. He might be covering for his son now. It appears that they were disposed of in the sea. Well, it is wet, I can tell that. Is there no one in this country who actually obeys the law? I love that line. There now. Agent Lang, please calm down. What the heck is that scrap of paper? This appears to be a letter from the chief of police. Please allow Mr. Romano complete freedom to do as he sees fit, it says. What? The chief of police! What the? Just who does he think he is? The person who wields the highest authority in this area. Oh, there. Now, there is no need to be so upset. I'm not a cop from this land, so I'm not bound by the laws of your country. Now. This wasn't meant to strong-arm you into anything, just a request. I'm only asking that you please respect the laws of the land. I can't really say no to that. However, returning to the topic at hand. It doesn't matter who found the evidence. Its value remains unchanged. Well, it does matter, because it could be tampered with now. Alright, now let's take a look at this new evidence. I've already got the results back. What? I got a special forensics research lab that I'm on good terms with conduct the test. No. This evidence cannot be submitted right now. It has to be done by the police. The tests have to be done by the police. He has bias. That's his son that's being accused right now. The evidence could be tampered with. They verified that the blood in this costume belonged to Oliver. As for the gun, the only fingerprints they could find were yours, Lauren. What? You disappoint me, Miles. I can't believe that you would cause my son such stress and heartache. Thank goodness I was able to find a final piece of evidence. With this, you'll have no reason left to push my poor boy around. That's it. These are the case-making pieces of evidence. Ha, I'll be the judge of that. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. This evidence has been tampered with. This is where the bullet was. The bullet hole. It looks kind of, burnt around the edges. Wait, those burn marks were left by the gunpowder. This is the most important fact. Why is that? Because it is proof that the victim was shot at point-blank range. Yeah, so, that actually is true. That it also depends on the gun and the cartridge, but if somebody is shot at very close range, like point-blank range, there will be burn marks. That is actually true. More than the time of shooting, gunpowder burn is proof he was shot from point-blank. Which is the correct gun? Could this gun be the actual murder weapon? Used to kill Deacon, was originally stolen from guard by victim during escape. What's this? It looks like there's something inside the costume head. Hey, that sparkle, I bet they're really valuable. Sorry, but they're just pieces of a mirror. But why are they in here? They were found inside the victim's costume. Why were they there in the first place? Mirror fragments. Well, are these not the most definitive piece of evidence you have ever seen? Thank you, Dad. This should be enough to convince even Mr. Edgeworth over there. The size is evidence. Make no mistake, These are fingerprints on that murderous gun, so when this song is playing, this is the final confrontation now, when you get to the bottom of the case. And they proved that it was Lolly who killed Oliver. But Oliver was also after Lolly's life. So, Mr. Edgeworth, even you must see that Lolly was only acting in self-defense. The fingerprints on the weapon, huh? Oh no, this isn't helpful at all. Look, Mr. Edgeworth, all I want to do is save Lolly. But in the end, all I can do is watch on as she takes the punishment for her crimes. No. He's throwing it all on her. He's throwing it on her. He's manipulating the situation. He's manipulating her. Yeah, and so, again, when Edgeworth is doing this, it means he doesn't believe the person. That's basically his sign. He's taking it with a grain of salt. He doesn't believe him at all. I still have a case to solve and a job to do. The job of unraveling your insidious lie. You wound me. Why won't you believe me, even in the face of all this evidence? Decisive evidence. Okay. Make no mistake, there are fingerprints on that murderous gun.
Hold it!
Those fingerprints, are you sure they belong to Miss Pops? There's no mistake about it. Through my connections, I have the best forensics techniques money can buy, performed. But you're the father of the accused. I find that to be a bit peculiar. What? Are you trying to pick an argument with me? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Let's raise an objection. Frankly, I don't believe that Miss Pop's prints should be on that gun to begin with. And the reason why Miss Pop's prints should not be on that gun is... because she was in a costume. Blue Badger, Lauren Pops. Proto Badger, Lansamano. Bad Badger, Oliver Deacon. Stolen costumes. It should be this.
Take that!
It's simply not possible for Miss Pops to have left any prints on the murder weapon. Because while she was at the stadium, Miss Pops was wearing a costume, yeah. I didn't even really think about that until now. Is why would her prints be on the gun if she was in a costume? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Huh? But there's been no mistake. We found fingerprints. Well, Miss Pops, do you remember touching the gun at all at any time? Ah, yes. As a matter of fact, I did hold it for a bit, back in the hideout. I handed off to Mr. Deacon when he and Lance left for the haunted house. To retrieve the ransom money, I suppose. And there you have it. That is when Miss Pop's prints found their way onto the gun. Do you understand now, Mr. Amano? The fingerprints do nothing to prove that Miss Pops is the murderer. But you still don't have anything to prove that she isn't the killer, right? You seem very adamant about insisting that your girlfriend is a cold-blooded killer. Oh, Lance. What? No way. I'm incredibly worried about her. Oh, yeah, sure you are. But that doesn't change the fact that you don't have any evidence, right? That's where you're wrong. I have the evidence. What? How? The story of Miss Pops killed the victim at the stage in the stadium. The whole affair is simply not true because that was not the real crime scene, but a setup. This proves that the real murder was not committed at the stadium at all. The mirror. These were found inside the victim's costume. Why were they there in the first place? Yeah. The mirror. It was probably the haunted house.
Take that!
This piece of evidence proves that the real crime scene is not in fact the stadium. Mr. Prosecutor, I'd have to rate that piece of logic at 0 to 10. 0, it's at least a 6.8. At this rate, Lolly's going to wind up getting arrested. You must remain calm and think clearly. The murder did not happen at the stadium. In the scenario where the victim was up on the stage, Mr. Pops was down below. There must be something that invalidates it. This proves that the real murder was not committed at the stadium at all. Okay, I can't open the cylinder. They found Miss Pop's fingerprints on this gun. Can you let me hold it for a sec? I shouldn't if you don't know how to handle it. Besides, Miss Pop's prints are on it. Look, I'm wearing gloves. I'll be okay. I'll just want to take a look at that's all. It's not like I'm going to run off of it. The only things I don't return are treasures. Stealing either one would land you in jail, you know. This proves the real murder was not committed at the stadium at all. I thought it was the glass. Oh, huh. Well, I wonder what happened there for a second. That was a little, okay. Oh, I hope my graphics card isn't glitching out now here. That would really suck. Alright, capture card, I mean. This proves that the This proves that the real murder was not committed at the stadium at all. Oh! Wait a second. The gunshot wound. The gunshot wound is proof that it didn't happen at the stadium because of the fact that there was gunshot residue, was burn marks, that it was at such close range when it happened. But the stadium where the killing was, it would have been a little bit farther away. I'm pretty sure that's what we're looking for here.
Take that!
It's not the gun here. Okay, hang on. The autopsy here.
Take that!
No? Damn. Okay. It might be the mirror fragments, and we might have to use the haunted house here. It's gonna be the missing model gun or the map.
Take that!
No. Okay, it's gonna be the map then. The map has like, the haunted house. And there's glass. Green glass.
Take that!
No, what the? It's not this too? Okay, this is getting a bit ridiculous here now. My capture card is I'm sorry about my capture card too, guys. I don't know what's wrong with it. I'll take a look after this recording. I was doing so good, and now this part, oh, the victim's costume. The victim's costume was updated. Worn at the time of the shooting. Gunpowder burn is proof he was shot from point blank. So, I was right on that. Oh, man. I was right on that, but the victim's costume updated. I didn't realize that evidence updated. Okay. It's this. I'm 100% confident.
Take that!
Let's take another good look at the costume the victim was wearing. Then I believe you will see why I insist he was not shot at the stadium. This is the part of the costume that proves it.
Take that!
The burn around this bullet hole was made when the victim was shot at point-blank range. Ah, so then you mean the murder Miss Oldbag saw at the stadium really was... Yes, she saw two people, but they were separated by distance. If the victim was indeed shot from below the stage, there shouldn't be a gunpowder burn. Hey, look at you, Mr. Smarty Pants Prosecutor. Since you seem to know all the answers, why not tell us where the real crime scene is then? Lance set me up to look like Mr. Deacon back at the hideout. If that's the case, then the murder must have happened prior to that. And the location where Lance and the victim were just before I was imprisoned was... I've got it. I know the real scene of the murder. Wait. Lance set me up to look like Mr. Deacon back at the hideout. If that's the case, then the murder must have happened prior to that. And the location where Lance and the victim were just before I was imprisoned was... I've got it. I know the real scene of the murder. It was the room they were in. Because I was thinking it might be the haunted house. Hang on. It's the Wild Wild West, yeah. The Wild Wild West area. Because there's a broken mirror in the room. And there's mirror fragments. There's mirror fragments in the costume.
Take that!
The real scene of the murder was here in the Wild Wild West area. The place where you and I first met, huh? Where you and I first met, but didn't you already check there? I know I did, and there wasn't a single sign that someone had been killed there. Yes, well, I suppose there wasn't. Murder took place before I was in prison. And the only place where the victim and Lance were together alone was... the haunted house. There's a broken mirror fragment there.
Take that!
I think it's not unreasonable to assume that the murder took place in the haunted house. The haunted house. Yes, right, the mirror. Okay, I get it now, I made a little bit of a mistake, but I get it now. The broken mirror that was in the Wild Wild West area, in the underground area, that mirror was from the haunted house. When Edgeworth walked by, this mirror is probably not there anymore, because Lance took the mirror and he took it back to that other room so that people wouldn't really think of it. They would see a broken mirror in the storage area, and they would just think that it was a mirror that was just broken on, during a show or something. They wouldn't think that it was part of a murder scene, but if you had a broken mirror in the haunted house itself, that'll be way more suspicious. Yes, and I have a proof that it's highly likely that the victim was killed there. What proves that the real scene of the crime was the haunted house? The mirror fragments.
Take that!
These were inside the costume the victim was wearing. They're fragments of a mirror. A mirror? And what does that have to do with anything? Indeed, you don't exactly expect to find pieces of a mirror inside a costume. Yeah, that's actually pretty dangerous. However, there's one place I can think of where there's a plethora of mirror fragments. And that is the haunted house. Lance Amano, I propose that you killed Mr. Deacon with a revolver in the haunted house. After that, you stole the blue Badgermobile to move his body to the Wild Wild West area. The timing of when the blue Badgermobile was stolen confirms this as a fact. Miles, my boy, say no more. I'm sorry, Mr. Amano, but I cannot do that. Be quiet. Yes, please do something. Stop that boy from speaking any more nonsense. Ernest Amano, correct? I mean you now. Now be quiet, Gramps. How dare you? I don't need words. The only thing I require is evidence. Decisive evidence. And to call these mirror bits decisive is a bit too presumptuous, Mr. Prosecutor. What? Sheena, wasn't there a mirror in the kidnapper's hideout? Yes, there was a mirror there. A mirror that's for the haunted house. You see? Isn't it possible the fragments got into the costume there? But Agent Lang, there were no fragments on the floor, so the probability is very low. Probability? Ha ha ha! Lang Z says, on truth's path, the word probability does not exist. The only thing that does is definitive proof. The question, Mr. Prosecutor, is do you have the definitive proof you need? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, do you? Do I have solid evidence that proves the murder took place at the haunted house? The answer is no. See? So since you don't have any, shut up. I don't have the evidence yet, but I'm certain that the murder occurred around the time I turned the ransom over. At the time, the only person at this haunted house, besides myself, were Lance and Mr. Deacon. If I can prove that the murder took place at the haunted house, then I can prove Lance's guilt in connection to the murder. What now, Mr. Edgeworth? Agent Lang, I have a special request. Yeah? I'd like to prove to you that the scene of the crime was indeed the haunted house. Why in the world are you asking the werewolf for permission? Because I don't really have a choice if I want to find the truth. Alright, permission granted, but you're not to touch a single thing, got it? That won't be a problem. All that's important to me is that the truth be brought to light. It doesn't matter by who or how it's done, as long as it is. Ish. Sheena! I'm here. Put in the paperwork for the authorization immediately. Understood. I'll go get the Gatewater Group's approval. Who is that? Now, let's hold on for a second. There's no need to obtain approval. Mr. Amano? Agent Lang, if you would please take a look at this. What is this? Sheena. It's the deed to the haunted house. The deed. Read it out loud. Gatewater Land Inc. hereby bequeaths the property known as the haunted house to Mr. Amano for the lump sum of $1 million paid in full in cash. What? Oh, as you can see, I am now the legal owner of the haunted house. Come on. Seriously? Are you kidding? When did you... I ran into the owner of the park earlier, and we made a deal almost immediately. He's covering for his son. How quickly do things move when you can prepare $1 million in the blink of an eye?
$1 million. It's a coincidence, is that there was $1 million also for the ransom. That 1 million you paid. Don't tell me it was.
Oh, that's right. This disgusting suitcase belongs to you, doesn't it? I don't have any more use for it, so you may have it back now.
You used the ransom money.
My Lance is a good boy.
No, he's not. He's a murderer.
He even apologized for the kidnapping a bit earlier. So I do believe that I will forgive him. After all, he did return the ransom money. That's the way things are. So if you would please discuss things with me from now on.
Discuss. What's there to discuss?
Why, permission to enter the haunted house, of course.
While we were busy listening to Lance's story, Mr. Amano was out there preempting us.
Permission to search the haunted house is denied. End of discussion. Agent Lang, I want you to arrest that girl. And Miles, you should hurry on home now, my boy, before I really lose my temper.
Mr. Amano definitely has the deck stacked in his favor here. What should I do? If I leave it like this, the truth will be lost forever. I should probably save. Oh, I saved my game thinking that there was gonna be a choice, but it wraps up here. So there's still gonna be one final part. I thought this was gonna be it. I thought we were gonna have Lance's breakdown, but Lance definitely did it. I'm convinced he did. I'm a bit pissed though that I made so many mistakes on that. I was right on the gunshot residue, so I was right on that it was close range. The only thing I was wrong, I was choosing the wrong piece of evidence. Ugh! I should have read the evidence more closely. That the costume updated. The costume updated in the evidence, and it said there that it was close range. That's what I was trying to use, but I didn't have that yet, so I didn't think that piece of evidence changed in the description. But I guess we'll wrap it up here, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this part. If you did, drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.